making things easy for me now.
Why should I make things easy for you? You've come here to kill me.
I've come here to expedite your personalised inevitable destiny pathway.
The play's called Remind Me Again Why I Need a Man, and it's about Maggie, the dominatrix, and she is visited by death. Maggie's not ready to go, and she's doing her best to convince him not to. Hello, I'm Karen Kirkup. I'm one half of Too Foolish. Chris Brannick is the other half. We're putting on a play at the Edinburgh Fringe, which we have already done at the Brighton Festival.
We could start early.
You booked the 2 o'clock slot.
Chris wanted to do something that was a little more risque than what we'd done before. I wanted him to because his sense of humour is actually quite rude, and we'd been playing family venues, so Chris had had to write stuff that was just sort of for that venue, and I felt he was getting a bit frustrated with that. So I said, let's go to a different venue. Write what you want, be as rude as you want, it really doesn't matter.
Hardcore spanking, PVC preference, no whips, special requests 7, 13, 28 and 43 plus.
So he came up with quite a lot of very rude suggestions, and I said yes to most of them, really. He liked the idea of doing a dominatrix, and because of our age, which is not young, we decided that she should be an ageing dominatrix who's been around for a long time but is very popular, especially with her clients who are of such the same kind of thing. So we just came up with that idea and started throwing ideas around. Nothing goes in a straight line when you're creating. You go all over the place. I would say something, Chris would go away and write notes on it, then give it back to me, and it wouldn't be anything like what I remember he said. And then I would say which bits I liked, which bits I didn't like. Mostly it just gave me 100 more ideas.
In my head, to show that there is a way of resigning to death, and just saying it's inevitable, that's what the cats do. They just know it's time to die and they go and they die. Yeah, that's what cats do.
And gradually, over a period of time, a story appeared that we were both happy with. And it was a story, it wasn't really a play, it was just trying to get a plot, a feel for the characters. Chris is into music, really likes music, he's very good at music, and so he's always started with a singer. And this time he decided it was going to be Annie Lennox. And so he looked at a lot of the music, looked at a lot of the lyrics, and he's really good at getting the lyrics that he uses to work with the story that he's producing. Or it's the other way around. He sees a lyric, moulds the story so the lyrics work.
We fell into using music in the shows bit by accident. We had the idea for a first show which just came out of something that had happened to me when I was in Turkey, but several people came up to me and said, "Don't you look like Bruce Willis? I've got no hair and that's about it." But enough people did that I suddenly thought Get Fit with Bruce Willis would be a great title for a show. What else can I do? Oh yeah, I can sing like Jimmy Somerville. So I thought this idea of a Jimmy Somerville impersonator who wanted to become a Bruce Willis impersonator would make a good idea for a show. And so our first show had Jimmy Somerville songs in. And then, having had success with that, Karen and I decided that we'd keep music in the shows. And so the next one was Mark Almond, which I wasn't this time a Mark Almond impersonator, but I used the songs of Mark Almond and I sang them to use them as sort of hooks for the show to hang on, and also, to be frank, a way of helping to get an audience. I thought it'd be moderately interesting for people to have that, and it gives you a way to advertise it. I'm trying to win me over with modern art.
Hey, would you like to see some more?
Is eating my own head an option?
You know, every one of these paintings is an angel's wing of love.
Of course. Love in a painting. That's it. Then we came to the third play, and I decided that having had 2 male icons, I wanted a female one. One of those light bulb moments. There is no more iconic singer from the 80s, and to a certain extent the 90s, than Annie Lennox. One of the most wonderful voices that's ever been committed to recording, and a very strong character as well, which I also liked. Then the challenge was to include the music, but not in a way that it made it sound like Karen was trying to be Annie Lennox or to impersonate Annie Lennox. So the idea was to use Annie's recordings as they were, and for Karen to sing over them as if it's her own character reflecting on Annie's singing, rather than actually being Annie's singing.
Oh, Alexa, turn the music off! Oh, Annie Lennox, I'm going to have to disagree with you.
And I think that's pretty successful. Certainly nobody has commented on it, and we got a fantastic review that at no point mentioned the singing being good or bad. When I first looked at Annie Lennox's repertoire, what I was able to do was to pull out about a dozen songs that if you just put them one after another, you could see a whole relationship there. And I was 90% ready to just write what would effectively have been a Mamma Mia type show. And I'm glad I didn't. I want the songs to come out of the drama more than form the drama. One of the things that I think we've managed to do successfully is, in all 3 shows, is to combine music with the drama and to make it organic and cohesive and not feel like the songs are imposed on the drama or vice versa. It's too simple just to bung songs together and impose a plot. Sometimes it's done brilliantly, Mamma Mia for example, but it does get done really badly.
And then I can straight in your face holding the bomb. Over my dead body, firmly.
That was the plan.
Chris also works abroad a lot. So when we start getting to the stage where we should be having rehearsals, often Chris is on the other side of the world. So we have a lot of rehearsals via Skype.
This isn't just your way of taking it out on men, is it? You're not a lesbian, are you?
The fact that more women aren't lesbians just goes to prove that homosexuality isn't a choice.
You can learn the lines, you can do the lines together, you can put the intonation in, you can get the feeling, you sort characters out, but you can't do the physical part of acting. Chris has written something and I say, that's really difficult to do on stage. He goes, director's problem.
Oh, you're not a lesbian, are you? Got a different form for that.
The fact that more women aren't lesbians just goes to prove that homosexuality isn't a choice.
You are going to have to come with me, you know.
This is the first draft that's fit for public. It's about the 4th draft. I also have friends who are actors. Because Chris isn't always here, I will set the play with a friend so that we know where he's going to be standing, where I'm going to be standing. Because none of it's written in stone, when I do actually physically get to act with Chris, quite often it changes. But it gives us a base of how it's going, and as a director it helps me work out where the issues are, what props are needed, can they get off stage, can they go on stage, and all those kind of things.
Haven't you gone yet?
I'm afraid I can't go anywhere, not without you.
Not without your properly completed customer satisfaction survey.
This time we did something which we're really chuffed with. We had a preview. In January, I invited some friends round and we read through the script.
You're about to come to Alan.
Oh, yeah.
God, he was dull.
A lot of the people who came were acting friends and they all gave feedback. We asked for proper feedback, not just, darling, you were wonderful feedback, which I like, but Chris wanted real feedback.
It ends with him being the one who spanked. He's the one who does the...
Yeah, we could still have the spank on after.
Yeah, you could.
Because that would be quite a quick thing, wouldn't it? I'd have worked out if he was a womanizer quite quickly.
So you went for the complete opposite. Yeah.
So he got real feedback and then he went off and rewrote the play to the things he agreed with and the things he didn't agree with he ignored. It was really good for Chris, because by the time you've written and rewritten something, you can begin to believe that it isn't actually funny. You've heard the jokes so often, it feels really dead, but actually, we had everybody laughing. The bit I'd asked for in this play, I wanted to be able to make people cry as well. And Chris said, why? And I said, because actually I really enjoy doing that, but I think it's satisfying. I also think comedy should have highs and lows in it.
And he's smiling in the rain as it's soaking his hair, and he sees you waving back, and he smiles, and it burns deep into your belly, and he steps out.
Continual comedy is really hard on the audience, so it's really nice to have that. The drama of the play becomes much more powerful if you have been laughing a lot.
Did he come in his dashing white Charger?
He did call a dashing white ambulance.
Oh. Hey, you know, when I was a child, my mum started taking in stray cats.
One of the big things about putting on a show at any festival is advertising, and that comes with a poster. Doing the photo shoot is quite a big thing, because you've got to make it something that'll attract people's attention, tell them a little bit about the play. Our play is about a dominatrix, so I dressed up as a dominatrix. Chris and I couldn't get together to do the photo shoot, so we decided the only way we could do it is that we'd do a photo shoot with me, and then Chris, wherever he was, would get someone to take some photographs of him, and then we would send the photographs to somebody we knew who was going to make the poster, and he could put them together. I trundled along with all my wonderful outfit, trying it on for the first time to my photographer, and she got dressed up and she took photographs. It was hysterical. I'm 60 years old, and it's a while since I've wanted to go out in 6-inch stiletto heels. The photograph looks absolutely wonderful. The elegance of the person trying to be in this costume was not particularly elegant at the time, and I nearly fell over a few times. And it is very funny trying to find a character that you haven't actually got yet because the play hasn't been written.
Alexa, Chief of Police account detail.
So you can't even go, yes, I'll know what she's going to stand like when she's saying this, and...
Yes, well, he was 2 minutes 34 seconds late last week. I'm not in a forgiving mood. Alexa, invoice Chief of Police.
You know, it's a 60-year-old woman having a bit of a laugh, really. Then we were asked to get together some action shots, you know, looking like we were acting. Because we haven't done the performance before, we couldn't do that, and we didn't know how to do that because we didn't know what the set was like or anywhere. But I was directing another play at the time, and that set was up and running, and that gave us a set of photographs that could be sent to reviewers and newspapers and magazines, so that if they wanted to write an article about us, they would have an action photo, not just the poster.
Yeah, so someone spanking return, but end up with a face all of this, then try.
Yeah. You ready? God, we look a pair of old farts in those, don't we?
That's good call.
Then we trundled off down to Brighton, and as what happens with most festivals, getting an audience is the hardest thing, and it can be really depressing when you act to just a few people. We've both got an awful lot of our time, effort, and us tied up in this play. It's not just something we do and then move on to the next thing. It's not a jobbing actor's job, you know, given a job, do the play, go away. This is something we've written, we've worked on, we've created and gave birth to.
Sorry, Chief. The Parliamentary Privileges Committee overran. I couldn't make it in time.
And everybody who came to see the play loved it. We had good feedback from the audiences, we had good feedback from the tech people, yet we weren't getting huge audiences. We couldn't work out why we'd done the advertising and everything. So it was a bit disappointing.
Not completed. Blindfold options not completed.
But Sweets Venue were really, really chuffed with us. They couldn't understand, so we had a meeting with some people from the venue and we talked through where we thought that maybe it wasn't working, and there were things like the show was on at 5:30. Now in Brighton, people who go to the shows tend to go to more of the evening shows. They tend to be after work type audience, unless it's a family show that you can take your children to. Ours was an adult show, so they suggested that we came back next year and we did it later on, 7:30 or 8 o'clock.
Very interesting.
I'm going to make you pay for what you've done to me.
And I'm willing to pay you for what you've done to me.
We hadn't really liked Remind Me Again Why I Need a Man. It was just a starting idea. But suddenly they wanted our title, they wanted advertising, they wanted our poster, they wanted all the other things. It's too long and it doesn't talk about what the play's about. One that kept coming up again and again and had been suggested by the people in Brighton was Death and the Dominatrix. We're now calling the play Death and the Dominatrix. The posters are all now being changed and it says Death and the Dominatrix, also known as Remind Me Again, and we'll just see whether that makes a difference to the numbers that come in. So you've basically got everything in this play. You've got music, drama, comedy, and hopefully it will make you think. It looks at different ways of life and people's prejudice of people living different kinds of lives, and just how people have secrets and how people end up being where they are because of things that have happened in their lives, not necessarily because they've chosen to do that. Did Maggie choose to be a dominatrix, and what got her into the position that was her most likely option and the best way? Does she want to be lonely and on her own? Or would she rather have friends? They're questions that I hope people are thinking about by the time they leave. And as for death, sometimes even in death you can make a decision about what it is you want to do with your death.
Maggie, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Partnership.